In the heart of the snow-capped mountains, where the wind howls like a lonely wolf, lived an old man named Tenzin. For decades, the peaks had been his only companions, his small wooden cabin a fortress against the biting cold. One year, the winter arrived with a fury he had never seen before. A blizzard raged for days, burying the world in a thick, white blanket. Tenzin, withered and wise, knew this storm was different. It carried a sense of desperation on its icy breath. One morning, as a fragile dawn broke through the swirling snow, Tenzin heard a faint cry. It was a sound of pure distress, nearly swallowed by the wind. Driven by a lifetime of respect for the mountain's creatures, he bundled up and ventured out. He followed the sound, his boots sinking deep into the fresh powder, until he found a small cave, its entrance almost completely sealed by a snowdrift. Peering inside, his breath caught in his throat. There, huddled in the freezing dark, was a snow leopard. She was beautiful, her spotted coat a masterpiece of natural camouflage, but she was weak, shivering, and her eyes held a desperate plea. Curled against her were two tiny cubs, so small they looked like balls of fluff, mewing pitifully for warmth and food. The mother had been injured, a deep gash on her leg preventing her from hunting. Without help, they were all doomed. Tenzin's heart ached. He knew the risks. A snow leopard, even an injured one, was a powerful predator. But looking into her golden eyes, he saw not a threat, but a mother fighting for her children. He backed away slowly and returned to his cabin. He stoked his fire and came back with a piece of dried yak meat and a warm blanket. He placed the meat near the cave entrance and draped the blanket over a rock to offer a little more shelter from the wind. He did this every day. At first, the snow leopard was wary, growling softly whenever he approached. But hunger and the relentless cold wore down her defenses. She began to eat the food he left. He would sit for hours a short distance away, talking to her in a low, soothing voice, telling her stories of the mountain, of the sun, and of the spirits that watched over them. He never tried to get closer, respecting the invisible line between their worlds. Slowly, an unspoken trust began to form. The mother leopard, whom he named Ananda, meaning bliss, would watch him with intelligent eyes, her growls replaced by a soft chuffing sound. The cubs, growing stronger, would sometimes peek out from behind her, their blue eyes wide with curiosity. Tenzin became their guardian, their provider, a strange, two-legged member of their tiny, struggling family. The blizzard finally broke, leaving behind a world of pristine, silent beauty. But with the clear skies came a new danger. One evening, as twilight painted the peaks in shades of purple and orange, a chilling howl echoed through the valley. Then another, and another. A wolf pack, lean and hungry after the long storm, had caught the scent of the leopards. Tenzin's blood ran cold. The wolves, 7 of them, emerged from the tree line, their forms like gray ghosts against the snow. They circled the cave, their intentions clear. Ananda, though still limping, rose to her paws, her body a low, tense coil. She let out a guttural roar that shook the very air, a mother's defiant challenge. She placed herself squarely in front of her cubs, a living shield of fur and fury. But she was outnumbered and still weak. The lead wolf, a large, dark male, lunged. Tenzin couldn't just stand by. He was old, but the mountain had made him strong. He grabbed his sturdy walking stick and a burning log from his fire, creating a makeshift torch. Shouting with all his might, he charged towards the wolves, a fiery, yelling apparition in the fading light. The wolves, startled by the sudden appearance of fire and the ferocious noise, hesitated. They were not accustomed to humans interfering in the laws of the wild. Tenzin didn't stop. He swung the torch, casting wild, dancing shadows, positioning himself between the wolves and the cave. He was protecting his family. Ananda, seeing her strange ally, seemed to find a new surge of strength. She joined his side, her snarls harmonizing with his shouts. The wolf pack, faced with this bizarre and fierce alliance of man and leopard, grew confused. This was not the easy meal they had anticipated. The lead wolf tested them one last time, feigning a charge, but Tenzin stood his ground, thrusting the torch forward. The wolf yelped and backed away. After a tense standoff, the pack decided the fight wasn't worth it. One by one, they turned and melted back into the shadows. Silence returned to the mountain, broken only by the crackle of Tenzin's torch and the heavy breathing of the two defenders. Tenzin sank to his knees, exhausted. Ananda walked over to him. He braced himself, but instead of a snarl, he felt a rough tongue lick his withered hand. It was a gesture of gratitude, of acceptance. In that moment, the barrier between them vanished completely. He gently reached out and stroked her head. She leaned into his touch, purring like a rumbling earthquake. The two cubs, sensing the danger had passed, crept out and tumbled around his feet, batting at his boots with their oversized paws. For the rest of the winter, they were a family. Tenzin helped Ananda recover, bringing her food until she could hunt again. He watched the cubs grow, teaching them the ways of the mountain as if they were his own grandchildren. He showed them which paths to take, where the best hiding spots were, and how to read the wind. When spring arrived, melting the snow and bringing life back to the slopes, Tenzin knew it was time. Ananda was fully healed, strong and sleek. Her cubs were boisterous and ready to explore their kingdom. One morning, she came to his cabin and nuzzled him one last time. She then called to her cubs and, with a final look back, led them up the high ridges, disappearing into the vast wilderness that was their true home. Tenzin was alone again, but he was not lonely. His heart was full. He knew that high up on the peaks, his family was watching over him, just as he had watched over them. And sometimes, on a clear night, when the moon was bright, he would hear a soft chuffing sound carried on the wind, a greeting from the ghost of the mountain, a reminder of the incredible bond they had shared. He would smile, look up at the stars, and whisper his thanks to the mountain for the greatest gift it had ever given him.